Right, I said I was going to do a scientifical one, and by Jove, I was right. And I found my other specs. Do you know that just because they got red arms, right? These were the most colourful ones in the shop. I said to him, "Take a look at me. I want some glasses that suit me." After I'd looked at these, he told me about the glow-in-the-dark ones. I said, "I asked you to look at me. Why were the glow-in-the-dark ones not your first choice? And these were the most colourful ones in the shop." And before we got to them, I said, "I think I've already made my choice." And I saw them, and they were fucking Converse ones as well, with little stars on the back, and they glue in the dark. And I was like, "Yeah, that's my two." It's like, "You being serious?" I went, "Yeah, if these are the most colourful ones in the shop." Anyway, that was the story of my glasses, my glow-in-the-dark reading glasses. Then I suddenly realised that I'd done that. Aren't I cool? So anyway, I've done most of these. I'm going to return to a few of these. But I'm going to get a bit scientifical and just like basicalize it. I am a qualified physio and personal trainer, and I've got a level 3 diploma in sports science. And I studied human biology at level 5 at the Open University. So if I'd made these videos like 3 or 4 years ago, I would have been like all boffiny. I've forgotten shitloads, which is good because like I still understand it well enough to explain it simply, which is the best way to explain things. So in a very basic way, you have here the brain and a nerve, right? We'll go for the musculocutaneous nerve. There's your biceps, right? Comes out, goes here. So a signal comes from the top of your brain, right? Your neuromuscular cortex, whatever it is. And it goes into the brain and it moves the muscle, right? At that point, when you start training, the reason you warm up is because your body needs to make changes in the way that your blood is distributed around the body. Because when you're just at rest, 40% of it goes to your brain and 40% of it goes to your kidneys, just when you're normally at rest. And it just makes sense because your kidneys regulate your blood pressure because it checks your sodium and your water levels, and it makes you wee or not wee, to wee or not to wee. And then it then tells your heart how much it wants the blood to come through because it needs to clean it at a certain rate and whatever. So it regulates you. So you're just at rest and you're keeping everything clean and keeping most of the blood going to the brain because that's where all of the fucking shit happens, right? But then you need to use your muscles. So it's like what it does is it squeezes these blood vessels down and it opens these ones up. So now your blood is redistributed. So it goes to your muscles where it's needed, right? So just, I'm saying that to just remember that, like, in principle, your body's got a kind of standby mode. And then you get the stimulus. He said stimulus. The stimulus effect happens and your body makes a lot of changes. And it achieves all of those changes with hormones and neural impulses, things going up and down your nerves, right? So when you... No, I won't go that way with it. I'll go this way with it. So your brain does the same sorts of things. All of the areas of your brain, all of the things that it does are stored in different places. So it too has a sort of standby mode, and it has things that will have different levels of activity and different levels of blood supply. So the reason I'm saying all this is what I noticed as part of doing a sort of high-level study with a learning difficulty is the symptoms of those learning difficulties became really easy to see. I also did my dissertation on ADHD and physical exercise and a lot of that stimulus, the somatic stuff that goes on and the stuff that goes on in your brain. But saying to yourself, right, I need to go and write an essay. Boom, just fucking put your bum in the chair, switch the fucking machine on, I could do that. And I start it. And 20 minutes later, I realise I've been looking at the wall for 20 minutes. And then that happens again and again and again. And what's actually happening is I would look like nothing's going on. And there's probably loads going on, but I'm no longer aware of it. And it's actually almost a trance-like, a sort of hypnotic state that I get into. But what's actually happening is, similarly, my brain is now being called to task. It was watching telly or playing the guitar. It was in a relaxed standby mode. It was just doing stuff. Now it has to think, and it's got to open up all of the areas where it remembers the names of things. And then all of the areas where it does, where it analyzes, where it synthesizes, where it composes, where it constructs, where it reflects, where it fucking compares, all of that shit. All of those things need to interact with each other in order to be able to think properly. So I kind of basically go into a mode where I'm streaming, the little circle's spinning. And the parts of my brain that are responsible for urging me into motion have done so. They now think I'm working, right? And I even think I'm working. And it's kind of like, it's that conscious but not aware, or aware but not conscious. And I always find that not sort of like really quantumy and hard to understand, that, philosophical kind of, am I thinking, or do I think I'm thinking, and all that sort of shit. But it's like there is light coming into my eyes and I'm interpreting the image, and I'm sort of aware that I'm looking at the wall. And because my brain's sort of probably active, but I don't know what doing, and it's why it probably thinks it's thinking or something. But that kept fucking happening. And again, it's the degree to which it affects your life. I'm probably talking about something that everyone goes through. But that was my biggest problem, is like trying to force myself to work doesn't work. So that's like that's the science around the basics of what goes on. But that nerve impulse that goes from the brain to the musculocutaneous nerve, right? It starts life here. It goes through a hell of a lot of other brain structures. Because, for instance, when you're on a balancing beam, you're remembering a lot of stuff. And every time you access a memory, you have to re-access it. That's how people lose their memory. It's not that they've forgotten as such. It's that the pathway through to where their file cabinet is closed. And the reason it's closed is because of poor neurotransmission. Neurotransmission is basically, there's your brain, and there's your nerve, and there's your muscle, and an electrical impulse goes along that nerve. But when it's here, it's an impulse in your brain, and it has to be translated into a nerve impulse. And then when it gets there, for that nerve to contract, it has to go across the neuromuscular junction. I'm going to simplify it. There's a lot of potential energy either side of that, and there's a line in between it. And it activates when a chemical is present. Dopamine, serotonin. That is neurotransmission. When the chemical goes, the shit happens. In any neurological impulse. That's why dopamine is not a stimulant. It's more of a hormone, but it's called a neurotransmitter. That's what neurotransmission is. Think of it like when they electrocute people and the sponge has got to be wet. Think of it like that. So the dopamine, the neurotransmitters, wet the sponge at either end, then the electricity goes through. That's what happens. That's happening on a minuscule level in your brain. So when my brain is trying to do things such as opening up those parts of my brain that are responsible for logical, rational thought, the memories of things, and trying to integrate those, and then remembering all of my language and that, and these are on different sides of the brain. Every time one of those millions of brain cells connects with each other, they need to neurotransmit. And when your neurotransmission is poor, things fail to happen. So what's wrong with my brain is what they call executive functioning. That is the thing that organizes you. When you're making a cup of tea, you don't think, I need to fill the kettle up before. You just do it. You know you're doing it, but you're not thinking about doing it. You don't think, oh, I need to put the lid up before I put water in it. But sometimes you forget, yeah? Again, that's the sort of thing when I'm explaining ADHD and people go, oh, I do that all the time. And it's like, it's the degree to which it affects your life. That's it when it happens on a grand scale, when you pour water on the thing before the lid. But when it happens on a smaller scale, it's trying to do something and continuously trying, and then your brain not doing the next thing, but being stuck because of the neurotransmission, because the chemical isn't there either side of the things. So the things can't talk to each other. All the other things have done the things that they need to do. But they need this thing to be involved, and it can't be at the moment, and it's trying to be. That's basically what happens in my brain. And I hope that is scientific enough for you.